Let's call this meeting to order. You stand with me for the flag salute.
And follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Any citizen desiring to be heard? That would be either Mike, Chris, or Craig. Not hearing anybody. Item 4 is consideration possible action on approving minutes of March 31st, 2016.
Commissioners, I realize you did not get these until just a couple of hours ago. I was unable to work this weekend due to a situation, so I didn't get them done until this morning. I don't know if you've had a chance to read them.
I have.
I don't think they have.
I have not read them.
I have not
Table
either.
them.
Please.
Then
My apologies, I just.
I move we table item 4.
tabled. All right. Item 5, consideration and possible action on approving resolution programming STP UZA project breaking Coltrane Road project JP 4 in the whole into 3 phases. And I would appreciate it if our commissioners would handle this in a more professional manner. So, I've looked at all this, and I did not realize that the first 4 miles of that have been redesignated as just a minor collector. I questioned the former commissioner about that, and he said that he was already programmed on the north 4 miles. It's a major collector road, but he was using his maneuvers, if you would, to move that classification to a different road so that they could try to find funding for that. So the SDP was already in there and programmed. The first mile of Coltrane was 100% SERB funded, and the leftovers from that, because originally the whole 5 miles was CIRB money, and then the scoping of that changed because of the traffic count. So it got brought back down to just 1 mile, and then he pursued the next 4 miles as an SDP, and using the leftover on that CIRB money for the matching. So the utilities were using that. And then last year, of course, ODOT comes and we had to reconfigure all that. Now, it could have been kept into that funding loop through the administrations. You know, when they come together for figuring out their STP projects, those are none of the representatives of ACOG. It is their administrative staff that does that. So that's a kind of a free-for-all type of situation, and that's why the representatives aren't there. It's their administrators who do that kind of funding. So in any case, I've read what Holly has sent. I had concern about doing the SDP for that 1 mile coming up from Waterloo, because I knew there was an exemption on there for the 3 lane with curb and gutters, but I am satisfied that Tim Gant will not make any changes on that would cause any increase in engineering funding. So I'm at this time I'm good with the breaking up of the 3 phases. The first 4 miles being a minor artery. I would like to see that increase to a major collector road, but that would be something that the Commissioner Goodman would have to pursue with ODOT. So that, I believe, would increase the number of points I was quite astonished with the 5th mile there, getting more than 32 points. 30, that is considerable. That is something that would be viable at that free-for-all round. Now, having said that, the call for projects is in November. So my question to Commissioner Goodman is, are you trying to get this in on the projects, the call for projects that was called for last year in December, I think was the due date? And is that what Holly Massey with ACOG says that we can get it in there? So it is on the next round that we have in October for trying to get funding for that. Is that the plan, sir?
So we have, we are working on resubmitting that, yes, and that's why we want to break this into 3 pieces, is for the resubmission. We submitted back in November of last year as well. And what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is to start and give a little more history. And I brought some other documents, if you don't mind. Here's the 2012 submission of that project to Okay, and so what, what that tells us, this is all of this red ink on this. I put that in color because there is red ink on it. All that red ink is from Holly Massey, okay? That's where she went through and checked this thing. If you go to the 3rd page, all right, that's where the points start. And Commissioner Piercy, this is what I was talking about, scoring each one of these, right? So this is how they're scored, each individually, and breaking them into 3 different pieces. Each one would be scored separately. So that was the first point I want to make. So this first one here on page 3 is for the 4 miles, excuse me, by themselves, because the 4 miles and that first mile off of Waterloo had to be broken into separate pieces because they were different types of construction, resurfacing, or rehabilitation. One was an overlay and the other one was widening, and they have a different point system on them, right? Okay, so if you go to the 4th page and you look at that top left corner, it says ineligible, widening not on long range plan. That's Holly Massey's writing, and talking to her, she said it wasn't on the ODOT 5-year plan for widening that road, so it was rejected. That piece was rejected back in 2012 for the 2014 submission. So that first mile was rejected by the technical committee there. So what ended up happening, if you go to the page after that where they view the scoring here, right? If you look at that, the project ended up with a total score of 25.755. But if you would remove the 1 mile of widening that wasn't allowed, which only got 18.9 points, and you look at the 4 miles of resurfacing that got 27.83, that's what went forward, was the 27.83 points for just that 4 miles. It was accepted by that technical committee for inclusion, and that's how the project got started funding. It's my understanding that shortly after that, this project was bumped because of the points, and they can't come off of these projects because of points. On a next year, if somebody else submits a project that has 29 points, then it bumps you out. You go under, right? Especially if your readiness points aren't there. If you don't have the right-of-way cleared and it's not ready for construction, the construction phase is what's important, then you get bumped to the bottom.
What's the perfect score?
Perfect, I do not know, but there's some of them over 40 points, and I'll show you here. So what we did, in 2015, we got a scoping report from Melberger for this project. This is one that, first of all, started another conversation with our board about why do we have our attorney signing this, right? But that's not what I want to talk about here. That scoping report showed in 2015 that the price tag of this project jumped to $11,448,224. I went back and talked to the engineer on that, and I said, that's too high. That's too high. That's way too high. I don't know what you got in there, but we need to look at reducing the cost and getting it down to a manageable level. When we submitted that to for funding or for reevaluation, we had that price tag down to $10,186,394. So we dropped it about $1.3 million, about $1.2 million and a quarter is what we took off of that. When we submitted it, here is the let me get you a copy of what we sent in there, and the free-for-all, so to speak. Okay, so this was what was examined by the technical committee that evaluates these projects. Thank you. And so what you'll see there, that is the total projects that were submitted, all the projects that were submitted for 2017. Actually was submitted on December 15th, 2015 for the FY 2017 Oakhurst Area Transportation Improvement Program. If you look down here, it shows that Logan, the Logan County, first Logan County project, which is the Coltrane Waterloo Road, it shows that we had 28.48 points total, right? That's a little bit different than what Holly said of 28.10 or 28.11. What happened was they went back through and refigured that again, the technical committee, and came up with 28.48, and that's what we entered into this system with. So what happens is now you compete with that total. That's your score. Any project that's got a higher score ranks higher than you do. If you look over here on where it talks about project, proposal, readiness points, estimated funds, all that stuff, right? You can get up to 6 points, readiness points, for having your right-of-ways done. Everything cleared and ready to go. When it's ready for construction, you get 6 points. That's right. We have 5 points right now because we haven't completely finished the relocation, but I think it will be really, really quick. So what's happened is we've jumped our points up on that 4 miles from 27.83 points back in December 2012 to 32.334 points for just the 4 miles. So that now, if you will look at that front page again, and you can run up here and look at, if that 4 miles was there by itself, we would have got funded this year, except that we're over on cost. Because what happens is, if you, over here on cost where it says estimated Fed share, you can only, the maximum is $7.5 million. $7.5 million is the maximum you can ask for. But what they do is they go in and they put another 2.5% per year for inflation on that. That put us over the $7.5 million cap. So that made that project ineligible to start with. So we couldn't have got funding even if we had 40%. So there's kind of a catch there as well. So that's this process. So, and if you go through and you look for, they do this for all the years, 2017, 18, 19, and 20 that they look at. We, with only, if you look at the top up here, with the total funds estimated, they estimated $18,562, right? Well, they take 80% of that and put it in STP, and they take 20% of that and put it in their STP safety projects and allow safety projects to use that. So when you're competing for $17 million, right? And you go in with a $7.5 million project, it's hard to get a second from anybody at that technical committee to put your project up there, because you're taking way too much cheese off the cracker as far as they're concerned. Now, that's what was submitted. That's how it was submitted. Once we've got that in there, then this is the outcome. This is how things came out. These are all the projects that got put on the list, right? And our project didn't make even the 2020 list because we don't have enough points.
Who added this project on this list on page 2? Logan County, 5 bridges over I-35.
That was
Added upgrades and guardrails.
That was I. But I've been able to get an agreement with ODOT. And what the issue there, this is a different issue, of course. ODOT was saying that those were not their guardrails because they were not attached to those bridges. And so as a safety, STP, UZA safety, 100% funded, I applied for it, it did not make it. But ODOT, seeing the necessity for it and seeing how old they are, they're on wood pilings, why they agreed that they would go ahead and replace that. So that now
So we can
has
take it off
been,
our.
that now is taken off of the STP, yes.
So Marlon,
And
thanks.
plus he's gonna go up there to your area there. There's one bridge there also that has those wood pilings, and they will replace that as well.
So I'd also like to go over the correspondence with Holly and Josh, right, from Melberger. Josh is the one that's been working with us, and he's been doing a pretty fair job. So you look at this first page here on this correspondence, and it's where Holly points out that Coltrane between Waterloo and Forest Hill is a minor arterial rather than a collector. It was rated as a collector, so that brought those points down a little bit. And like I said, a total score of 28 points, but it actually worked out at 28.3 something by the time they got it squared away. And then the second page, about in the middle of that first paragraph that starts off, therefore, you need to provide a scoring sheet for widening portion of the first mile and a scoring sheet for the resurfacing portion 4 miles. And then use their shared total project cost as an overall score. That's how that's done, and you've seen examples of that already. So this resurfacing that was scored, the first 4 miles, if you look here, we had, again, that scored 32.34. If that project was standing on by itself, it would have got approved this year.
That's true.
So and then you look at the 1 mile, and it scored about 20 points, but it's probably going to be a little bit less than that. But it probably will never be above 21, and it's just going to have to wait for that odd time at that technical meeting when there's not so many applicants. And the score's a little lower to get it back on the list with them. But there's no, I'm saying we still need to try. We still need to put it on there and try. So that's those sheets. Here's again the surfacing, resurfacing, how it was all added up, how those all made. The other sheet here from Holly that I've got back on March 17th, right, is her instructions to Josh, right? Said the best way to handle this, keep all the records straight, to submit and request via a new program resolution adopted by the county. The original JP number will be retained for phase 1. New JP numbers will be assigned by ODOT for the other 2. Attached is the STP UZA programming resolution and the ODOT form for local government. And that last line there says, please send everything to me and I will forward the information to ODOT for programming. So
Holly did that?
Holly did this, right?
I'm good with it. I'm glad you brought the information with
All
me.
right, so it's my May. Ain't I? You're done?
No, I'm not really done.
Okay.
Now,
We'll wait.
so with the attachment here is the resurface resolution that was put together, proposed, and that's what I'm asking to be approved today. The first part of that talks about breaking this into 3 phases. Simpson Road to Seward Road, Simpson Road to Simmons Road, and Waterloo to Simmons. The engineering estimates, he's breaking those back out from the total, and then the different phases for federal. And then the third piece of that I wanted to talk about just a little bit here is phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Those drop down to our SERB funds that we have to match goes to $633,000 for phase 1, $698 for phase 2, and $492 for phase 3. That's significantly less than what I've got against SERB, our SERB funds for this project right now. We put $2.5 million of SERB funds against this project last year to try and get it bumped through. First of all, because we were asking for a total of $10,186,000, and we had to put the $2.5 million toward that to get below the $7.5 million threshold. So what this will do, this will first of all allow us to drop our SERB funds commitments to this project, and it won't hurt the possibility of the project getting approved. And so it'll free those up for other things. And then the other piece of this that I wanted y'all to look at was, if you'll look at these projects that were approved, the estimated federal share, that first year, 2017, there are no projects that were approved that were over $4 million total. If you look at that, that seems to be the magic number. If you can keep your projects under $4 million, you've got a better chance of getting them approved. If you go to 2018, there was one program that was just over $4 million. It was $4,190,000. That one got approved, but it had 35.1 points as well. And again, you go through and look at 2019's. They had one again that was $4,097,000, and then 2020 there was one that was approved for $5,100,000. That one's, again, that's an out year issue, and that actually has a chance of being bumped because of it's out in 2020, and that's where things get bumped into. But my point is, there's a really good reason that you want to break these down into smaller chunks and to get them through this process, because you're competing with Norman and Edmond and Oklahoma City, and those folks have been doing this a while. And I got some real good instructions from one of the Oklahoma County engineers that I was sitting next to when we were going through and working on all this stuff. And he was getting his projects approved. That's these 2 arrows I got right here. His 2 projects got approved right there. He was sitting right next to me, and I just asked him, I said, how do you do this? He was more than happy to share all the knowledge that he had to do this with me, and he was very, very helpful. So with that, I would ask that we approve this resolution that I brought to the board to break this into 3 phases. I'm done.
I had some discussion. You're talking about the county engineer, Stacy Trumbo, and he stated on if you look at this FFY 2017, Oklahoma County, this was the 31.179 for Northwest 206. And he told me that it had been bumped 3 times because of that low score. So therefore, I am pleased with that North Mile getting more than 32 points on the scoring. So I believe it does have a chance. In 2012, yes, that was this, whatever, it wasn't eligible on that first mile, and that's when the former commissioner was able to place CIRB money onto that 1 mile fully funded, and going north from that for that CIRB money to supplement that 20% and get right away and get utilities moved, and that's what we have been using it for. So it was fully funded until last year when Mr. Shepherd with ODOT basically revised how that CIRB money is distributed, and so we redid our 5-year plan, and that's when Mr. Goodman decided that what we needed to do was to supplement that with the SDP through ACOG, and that's what we did. So when it came to that round table where these engineers and administrators, and the only representatives, of course, were the counties, and that's when that occurred. So if we wish to split this into 3 separate projects, I understand. I still would implore that those 4 miles that were made into minor arteries be reinstated as major collector miles, so that those points would increase. Whether they would increase enough for funding, I do not know. But if they were major collector roads, I believe that we get more points. So I would implore that that would occur. So at this time, I have said my piece, and I'm ready for Mr. Goodman's motion.
So, Monty, one other thing you'd asked about, and it was about the timing of this, and do we need to do it? Why do we need to do this right now? Well, one of the things, I mean, you saw where Holly said, you know, that if you break that down, you get it back to me, and I'll submit it back to ODOT. One of the other things that our engineer needs to do is to break this into 3 pieces too. This is the engineering project. This is the plan for that road, and we need to get that. We need to get that all broke down. Broke out in those 3 projects, and so we will have that ready and review and roll it around, and again go through and make sure that the price that we're being charged for this is reasonable. And just because an engineer puts a price on a form doesn't mean that it's something that we need to.
Do you know how much
always
money of
have.
this is coming out of ACOG and how much is coming out of the CERB money?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When that resolution that we have has that all on there. Yes, sir.
This packet, Bonnie, that he gave you, the very back, is the resolution,
The one that's got Holly's
the email one.
email on it first. I know I gave you a whole bunch of stuff. Right here.
On the bottom.
Right here.
So, I just wanted to know the dollars.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I'm with you on this. I mean,
Right there.
My only thought had been in that 1 mile is that whole mile would have to be re-engineered. And I now have had that question satisfied, that there will not be any additional engineering for that. So that was a question that I had last meeting.
That's a standard template that they use for this.
So I'm good.
okay, just to clear it up, on phase 1, it has $3,164,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that all CERB money, or is that part ACO?
That's
or
the
ACOG?
total. That's the total, and this breaks it down
Okay.
into, that's what,
CERB would pay too.
yes. And, no. Our CRRB money is here.
It's the local
This is
match.
STP.
Yeah, this is local, this is ST.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's federal. Yeah.
That would be that last set of
And
figures.
that's local there.
So we're needing about, what is that total on
It's less than the 2.5 million I got against it right
that?
now.
Okay, all right.
So you're gonna have to come up with 632,800 out of the CIRB.
Well, again, we've got 2.5 million of CERB money against that project
That's
already.
what we,
So it's.
We've already
it's-
got
all
that.
3 of those phases is less than what we've already got programmed against it now.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
So again, I move that we approve this resolution to split this into 3 projects.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks for bringing them numbers with me, Mark.
No worries.
Appreciate that.
Should have done it last time.
I do.
Along those lines, we were talking about CERB earlier too, and I know this is not on the agenda, but we had talked about it, and we can talk about this later. But this is where I attended the March 30th.
You need to sign those.
I can give that to Troy too. The March 30th ODOT County Advisory Board meeting, and this is where Shannon Shepherd told everybody that was there that ODOT local government will provide FY 2016 CERB updates to the CEDs on 1 June. And it says 2012, but that was at midnight when I wrote that. 1 June this year, and we need to schedule a county CERB update meeting as soon as possible after receiving that update. That's my notes from March 30, 2016. Just wanted to share that with you guys.
And I agree with them because there's legislation going through our legislators currently that may change how CIRB money is distributed. So we'll see what entails. Could be quite exciting, and
But
I'm not sure if there's a new update on that, but I haven't gotten to hear that yet, so it's on email.
Move your paperwork.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, there you go. Somewhere else.
All right, let's roll.
Item 6. Boy, it's not here. But item 6, consideration possible action on approving resolution
You need to
to
call
change
PAP 4100.
CIRB plan for East Beaver Creek Bridge Project, Circle 191.
Waiting for us
Okay.
to call.
Reducing
Call
from,
282-4100,
But we don't need
please.
to.
We don't.
You want me to
Thank
call
you.
and just tell them?
Or if we can have maybe somebody
Okay.
else call and
Yeah.
get them off the hook, because they're sitting there waiting for a
Okay.
phone call if we need to
Let me
talk.
find that number. I printed that email.
I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead, sir.
Well,
this would reduce your CIRB funding from 920,000 to 777,066.
basically, 6 and 7, I'd like to combine them two for conversation wise.
Sure.
Item 7 is consideration of possible action on approving resolution to change CIRB plan.
I'm sorry. I stepped out to have Cynthia make that call and I got lost on what we did on 6.
We haven't
We're talking about
Put
6 and 7.
7 together.
Okay,
put them together.
thank you, sorry.
Basically, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to borrow 142,000 off one project so I can move a water line on this project that I could possibly get funded this year if I can come up with the money to move the water line. It's gonna cost $142,000 to move a water line 1,200 feet. I think it's highway robbery, but
Sounds like water line robbery, yeah.
yeah, but that's something that we're liable for.
Is
And
that a rural water line? Or
It
what
is.
for?
Did the
A rural
county
water
do
line.
the backhoe work? All it is backhoe work.
now they got to bore that creek.
Oh,
It's
wow.
about a 1,200 foot bore.
Oh, if they gotta go
Oh,
under a
boy.
creek, that costs cash.
So anyway, I'm just wanting to borrow 142,000 off one of my projects to put on this project so I can get my water line moved and hopefully get the bridge funded through the BR program through CED districts.
Well, short of having a full-blown, CERB project plan meeting, I don't see a problem with it, as long as, I mean, we bring it back to the table, you know, after June when we do our CERB plan.
So, well, I need these resolutions signed so I can put them on the CED board meeting to get them to approve it, to send it to the big board.
I don't see an issue with it, I so move we
I
approve.
have no problem.
All right, I'll make the motion on 6 and 7.
Marvin just made a
Oh,
motion.
okay, I'll second Marvin's motion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And are we gonna actually list that as two separate motions, or do you want me to list that we held this together?
Don't matter to me.
As long as it's legal and it works.
Okay.
There you go.
Makes sense.
Because we're gonna say aye on all of them, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Thanks for
that's carried.
Made several copies, I don't want to be unique.
Generally, three
Oh,
on
no.
those, I think, but it'll be fine, as long as I've got,
You getting writer's cramp?
you might, would you pass that,
Sure.
that down, and then that's the next item to talk about.
I don't remember signing Marvin's resolutions.
It was only set for the chairman.
That's right.
And then,
Sir?
no, that's the next
Save some
agenda.
work
item.
there
Oh. That's the estimate?
on the
for what?
resolution.
I want to replace the concrete in front of the courthouse. That's the
Oh.
next agenda item.
Why do I get all 3 copies?
I don't know, I just thought maybe you want to read all 3.
Aren't they the same?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
This is gonna be item 8.
Or,
Consideration possible action on estimate of Armor Construction LLC in the amount of $15,702.50 for replacing, repairing concrete in front of courthouse.
I would really like to do I'd like to do a no action on this. I did get another quote. I'd like to be able to consider both of them. So at this time, I would ask y'all, and I'll give y'all a copy, but I think we ought to do no action.
I'm okay with that.
I'm good.
We can wait until you get both copies and we can look at them together. It'd be
Sure.
fine with me.
That'll work. Item 9, consideration and possible action on approving resolution donating a prisoner transport